Unless you've stumbled onto Into the Necrosphere by mistake, you will be aware of the very sad news that was reported about Riley Gale of Power Trip last week. He unexpectedly passed away at the age of 34. And although I never had the opportunity to meet him in person, having heard Greg Gutfeld's tribute to him, I'm sorry that I didn't, because I think that we would have had a lot to discuss. I did, however, have the pleasure of seeing Power Trip live twice. Both times I left that venue completely blown away, mostly by the fact that Riley's presence on stage spoke of somebody who just absolutely got it in terms of being a confident, passionate, aggressive, and authentic frontman was concerned. I think Riley's absence in music is going to be felt for a long time to come. But one thing I'm very confident about is that for many generations after this, his lyrics and his performances and his music is going to inspire people from all backgrounds. And I hope that his family and his friends and his bandmates take comfort in that, particularly during this difficult time. So for what it's worth, I wanted to share that with all of you, play one of my favorite Power Trip songs. And I think there's only one way to conclude something like this, and that is to say, Riley Gale, rest in peace. Welcome once again to Into the Necrosphere. We are up to episode 48, and making his long overdue return to Mean Street Studios is my friend AV of Abduction, one half of the tip of the spear of UK black metal, in my opinion, the other half, of course, being Crimson Throne. But as I have said many times on this show, if you've not listened to the last Abduction record, All Pain as Penance, you owe it to your ears to do so. It is absolutely fantastic, and it was great catching up with AV, although I will confess that I may have been a few beers deep when this conversation was recorded, so if I sound like a bit more of a silly goose than usual, you know why. No demo this week. I've got a good one lined up for next week, though, when I'm going to be continuing my death metal countdown series. But if you do stick around after my conversation with AV, you will get to hear me talk about some new music. So I'll be discussing the new Panzerfaust record as well as the new Cultus Profano, and I will be reading some news. So on that note, let us skip back in time to about 3 days ago through the magic of technology. And welcome back, AV of Abduction. So welcome back, mate. Very much overdue. I think it's been nearly a year since your
approximately
visit. I remember how psyched I was about the fact that you were going to come on in the full cloak the first time that you were on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me back. That's first thing get out of the way. It's fucking cool. It's great to see how it's grown as well. You've been doing all right, haven't you?
Yeah, well, no, thank you very much, mate. It has been going well, and I kind of I feel like the last couple of episodes in particular, I think I was just very, very fortunate that every single guest was super entertaining. You kind of know, a bit like when I spoke to you. You know when you get off that call, I always get this buzz knowing that it was a great episode.
Yeah, I saw the Ghoul one most recently. That was fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
that was great.
He was a cool guy, and I probably was tempted to squeal like a teenager when I saw that they had actually shared the episode on Instagram as well, because they didn't share a lot of stuff, certainly not as far as podcasts and websites and stuff is concerned on their social media. So
I saw that. It was great to see. It kind of. I know I said I'd check in with you when I had some more stuff to talk about, and it kind of that reminded me actually. I was like, oh yeah, I need to check in with the.
Yeah, no. Look, I think we've probably been going back and forth on doing another one of these for a while now. So, like I said, I think it's probably a good time because the world has changed dramatically, and I do want to call out right at the start of the conversation that you and I were well ahead of the curve, as far as one, masks, and two, using Zoom. Everybody's using Zoom now. I've been using Zoom since the 2019s.
Yeah, it's just become the family quiz platform, hasn't it? But
yeah, the family quiz platform, and I mean, I know I just had a sip of beer, but like, I don't get these people that or that were getting together with their work colleagues and like, oh yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going for Zoom drinks. It's like,
no, you're not.
how the fuck can anybody be remotely entertained by bullshit like that?
Yeah, you're not going anywhere. You're just going to sit and get pissed in your house. I do the same. I just put records on instead of having to deal with my coworkers.
Yeah. No, me personally, I'm fortunate that my job is European focused, and hopefully soon to be globally focused. So I very rarely actually have to go to the office. Aside from having to take a pay cut and the gym being closed for a period of time, which drove me insane, not much changed for me. In coronavirus, I'm not going to lie. There's a friend of mine that lives up the road who I still saw from time to time.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm a fairly antisocial bastard. So I kind of did the show. I had my girlfriend was here. I lived life as usual.
Yeah.
Persevered through the pay cut and try to. I get extremely cranky if I've not been to the gym for 2 days. So fucking 4 months was driving me absolutely insane.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really a person who goes to the gym. I've started taking care of myself a lot in the last year, but I'm still not in the point of the gym. But the whole shutdown, lockdown thing was kind of a blessing, really. I mean, I can't. It's not great for everybody, but I can't complain. I've had so much time. I work in schools, so I was pretty kind of. I've had a lot of free time since the middle of March.
Yeah.
For the whole thing, really. So, and it's just been actually a blessing, kind of again like a bit of a pay cut and stuff, and we're just getting up and going, what do I want to do today? Okay, I can't really go out and do exactly what I want, but I've got everything I need in here.
Yeah.
To start something or experiment with something. So I can't complain with that. Really, it's been a blessing. And I don't think we're ever really going to get that sort of length of time again in the same way.
No, I think I definitely think it was a once in a lifetime thing.
I realised how precious it was at the start, and thought.
I was about to say you shouldn't have been bitching about it so much. It was the fucking best holiday of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I know it's not been easy. A lot of people are in much worse positions than you or I, by the sound of it. With job fragility and all sorts of uncertainties from that. But that's fortunately not been the case for me and my family. So we've just been getting on with it. Little daily walks when it was major lockdown, and now you get to go out and see friends a little bit and stuff. And
have you formed social bubbles with other households here?
Yeah, I don't ask me the definition of that. I'm kind of just being careful, just trying not to be silly with stuff. But I mean, yeah, but you're right. I had the mask down before anyone.
I'd say an innovator. But let me ask you a question. Do you know anybody that had coronavirus?
No, not personally. There's a couple of work colleagues had partners early on that got diagnosed with it before the school got shut down.
Yeah.
And then, but third party people, no one I know personally.
Yeah.
But that's it really. I think in Derby where I am, I think we've had about 2,000 cases or something overall, but over 5. So something like that. I don't know if that's a lot or not compared to the rest of the country. I've no idea really.
It was said to be very widespread in London, and I mean I live on the outskirts of London, but it's I would think that I've got a fairly significant professional reach through or professional network through LinkedIn. I've got a lot of people on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook. I know of one person that had coronavirus, and she wasn't actually diagnosed with it. She did land up in hospital, but I don't think she was actually formally ever diagnosed. She just demonstrated the symptoms, and it sounds to me like the doctors just assumed. But based on what she was telling me, it sounds like she could just as easily have had pneumonia. So, not to go down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole, but it does feel to me awfully overblown, the whole thing. Like I was working when the swine was running rampant. I was also working when the Hong Kong flu hit, and I don't. It doesn't feel to me like either of those. And statistically, I'm probably wrong here, but I don't feel like either of those were in any way, less deadly than coronavirus. And yet, for coronavirus, the whole fucking world has come to a standstill.
Yeah, we're at the point now where we're kind of yes, it's calmed down a bit. The threat, if you like, has calmed down a bit, which is nice. But it's hard to. I don't know. It's hard to attribute that to everybody playing ball and taking special measures early on.
Yeah.
Or the fact that it's perhaps was overblown. I mean, it's kind of the thing that we'll never really know the answer to. So you're right. I don't want to get on any conspiracy rabbit holes either, because some of them are ridiculous. But you watch Rogan as well, right? So
I do. Yeah.
A couple of months ago, there was a couple of weeks where there was like 2 or 3 like virology specialists on there. I can't remember the guys' names now, but and one of those guys was saying it's sort of it's the coming of the apocalypse pretty much, and then the other guy was saying it's not that bad. So I just don't know. Nobody knows.
No, I agree. I did say at the time when they were having riots in London and things like that, I said to myself, if there's not a mass breakout of the disease and thousands of people dying after this, then I'm going to have questions, because regardless of the reason for people rioting, you don't just become immune suddenly because you're out protesting for a good cause. If there's thousands of people standing side by side screaming in each other's faces, surely that's how the virus gets transmitted. But apparently not. Apparently it gets transmitted when you go to the gym and the cinema.
And I don't know how you measure that. It's just this. It's so many question marks over all that shit. I just don't know, and it bothers me trying to figure it out, because then you start kind of jumping to conclusions that you're like definitely not in the specialist field for.
Yeah, no, I agree. And at the end of the day,
then I've become the very thing that I hate, which is like pseudo intellectualism.
Exactly. Well, it's like all of social media now. I spoke to Ghoul about this. I think it's like back in the day, people needed to have some credentials to be considered experts. Now, just because you've got a fucking Twitter handle and a couple of thousand followers, everybody's supposed to take your opinion seriously. It's absurd to me. It's like one of the greatest absurdities of modern Western living to me, because I don't think I've not been to China, I've been to Hong Kong, but I don't think from everybody I know who's either lived in China or I've spoken to who spent any lengthy period of time there, they don't have this bullshit. Yeah. Their kids want to become astronauts. Kids over here want to become YouTubers.
The decline of Western civilization.
Fuck yes. I'll tell you what, though, at least in the UK, we still got to enjoy beer. In South Africa, my native land, they banned booze and cigarettes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
imagine if such a law was imposed in the UK.
Oh, dude, worse riots than the BLM riots. Oh yeah, people would have lost their minds.
Yeah, but it would be everybody. It wouldn't be any discrimination.
Oh, yeah. No, not a single neighborhood left standing. But the thing about it is, it turns out, and again, this is, I speak under, I speak under correction, but a fair few people assumed that there was some black market shit going on in South Africa, and that the government people were involved. So they were banning booze and basically doing what they were doing in the Prohibition era in America, and just like, okay, it's illegal to buy it from shops, but if you buy it from the back of my truck, it'll cost you a premium, but at least you'll get to have a beer.
Yeah, and brewing it in cellars and bathtubs and things.
Yeah. I actually know a guy who runs a brewery. So I messaged him the other day, and I was like, how's things been going with the brewery? How as it hurt business, because he's kind of starting to develop into a business, and he just sent me a message back saying, let's just say I wasn't dry during the lockdown.
Very good. Yeah, people will always want to get pissed.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Especially when you're sat at home with nothing to do. But you've been keeping yourself very busy. You did. Let's talk first of all about you did like an impromptu one-man show that you streamed on Facebook.
I did.
Yeah. I'll turn the microphone to you for that.
Yeah, well, I think it was very impromptu. I decided like 2 days beforehand I was going to do it. I was a bit drunk, to be honest. It's standard lockdown mode of being, and and I just thought, I looked around and thought I can do everything I need to here. I did it with this very iPad, just the sound on that, and it worked out quite well. It worked out very well. Lots of people saw it. It got shared a lot. I think the timing was right, because it was at the point where people were sort of going, "Oh shit, we're not going to see gigs for a long time."
Yeah,
and we always have gigs. What we're going to do without gigs?
Yeah.
Just at that point where that was sort of setting in for most people, including myself. But also slightly before everybody started live streaming from their bedroom. So it just kind of went down pretty well. It's up on the Facebook. It's I just played some songs from the latest album, but bear in mind I used to perform like that by myself. So
yeah, because you did. I remember your first Bloodstock performance was solo. It was just you, just right. You on stage.
Yeah, on the Jaeger stage. Yeah, I played for like 2 years doing that myself, just because it's easy. It's actually really easy once you have the stuff set up to do it. Obviously now it's a different case. I've got the guys involved, and it's very much a live thing. Well, I say that at the moment it isn't a live thing at all, obviously, for obvious reasons.
So you guys aren't at the moment. You're not able to practice or do anything like that.
No, we have done. We have a rehearsal tomorrow, actually. And we rehearsed a couple of weeks ago. I've got a new guitarist, so it's getting him up to scratch for the shows. That may or may not happen at some point.
Yeah.
Just all up in the air. We had a whole summer planned of like Throne Fest in Belgium and fucking Netherlands and France, and we were talking to someone in Russia about shows and things like that. So we had a pretty busy summer booked, and I had flights and ferries booked and things like that. So lots of stuff confirmed. It's just been obviously wiped up, which is very, very, very frustrating. So I just kind of used that time to do a couple of things and write a demo. And what have I done? I've done the live stream. I did a little demo that's Goat Prayer Records put out on cassette called Cyclopean Thunderbolt. And also I've written stuff for this split that's coming out as well.
I was just about to say, so you've got the split with, they're called Nocturnal Prayer, right?
Yeah, from Canada, yeah. I didn't really know them, but the label Inferno Profundus, who released my last album, suggested it, and I thought, why not? We'll do something across the water, you know. So I think the idea of doing a split should be to sort of pool your resources and everybody benefits. And I don't have many fans in Canada.
Yeah.
I don't think the guy has much of an acknowledgement over here, so it makes sense to do it that way, really.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. So I've been pretty busy, really. You know, I've kind of used that time that I should have been playing with fucking Behexen and Alphagor and Maguire and shit across in the continent to do some stuff at home.
Yeah. I and many others have kept saying that, you know, the one thing that 2020 will guarantee is that 2021 is going to be absolutely fucking ridiculous for music. And it got to a point actually with that where I was surprised by how defensive certain people got about it. Like they would literally get upset when you mention it. It's like, oh, you know, fuck off with all that. And I get when, I get if you've lost your job and you've fallen on hard times, you know, maybe you don't want to hear it, but you know, you also kind of want to look for silver linings. You know, it's nice to think that bands are at least being creative, and next year you're going to put out stuff, and hopefully you can start touring again. You know, and you'll have great records to tour behind.
Yeah, exactly. So you just it's just about use of time, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, as I said to you plenty of times, I just have to be doing stuff all the time. So I couldn't just sit here and go, oh, I should be in Belgium. It's like, well, fuck off. What can I do? I can do this.
Well, we spoke about Western civilization before. You wouldn't just say that. You'd go on Facebook and say it and have sad emojis. And then...
well, but I use the time.
Yeah, no, exactly. So how much have you got written now for another full-length Abduction? Because I know you're a pretty busy writer anyway, so you kind of have stuff that's on the boil continuously.
At the moment, not very much, to be honest. Like I've said before, I've constantly got things floating around that I may or may not use in various forms, like if it's just a riff idea or if it's like a demo I've done on a fucking iPad or a tape machine or something. So I don't know, songwriting wise, probably about 50% of the songwriting, but nothing recorded, nothing ready to go. And it'll probably be a similar case to the previous full length where we do like 2 or 3 days in the studio and just hammer it out as much as we can. It seemed to work pretty well for the last album, so we're going to do that this time.
Yeah.
And it's a very different process because I'm at home just doing it by myself. It's it's not the same as smashing it out in a studio for a proper length.
Yeah. And are you getting any of your bandmates more involved in the writing process this time round, or is it still kind of your thing, and you instruct them to do what you need them to do?
It's still my thing, really, at the moment. I did have kind of plans to do a bit more of that, to share it a bit, but I want that to be like a face-to-face, natural, organic thing. I don't want it to be me sending a file to somebody and somebody sending a file back and going,
yeah.
I don't want it to be that. It's very important to me that it has a kind of a natural flow and an organic kind of property to it. So that simply has to be done face to face in the practice room, or like in a jam scenario or whatever. And of course, we've not had the chance to do that very much at all. So so that's not been the case. So at the moment, it's still just me. Yeah, I think album number 4 will still just be me, mostly.
Yeah. And the plan would be to have something. I guess it might be difficult to think that far ahead given how much you've written, but the plan would be to have something written and put out at some point next year.
I would hope before the end of the year, but I'm not going to rush it because then it's 4 albums, 4 years plus all the
before the end of this year.
Yeah, hopefully. But I'm not going to
crowded field to be entering.
Yeah, I think the label want me to do it later, to be honest. So fucking slow down. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like I say, I'm not gonna push it too much because that's when it'll break down. It won't be any good. So
yeah.
It needs to be natural, but it's that balance. It's that natural balance between pressure and having a little bit of pressure and kind of letting things happen naturally.
Yeah.
So I'll see what happens. But at the moment, that's the target. Gosh, I don't know. I will see.
I had Rick Eaglestone on here from This Is Black Metal talking about some of my favorite albums of the year, and that conversation actually divulged into or diverted into a bunch of wrestling talk and things like that. So the list in the end didn't come out as structured as I thought. But when I mentioned it being a crowded field, it has been a fucking incredible year for music. Like as far as everything else is concerned, obviously there's been some pains and sorrows, but in terms of actual music that's come out this year, it's been ridiculous. What have been some of your favorite records that you've heard in 2020? And I'm gonna go through my list with you in a second and tell me what you think of some of this. But what have been some of yours?
To be honest with you, I'm not as up to date as I would like to be. I've been following Death Cult Productions quite a bit, as I've worked with that label before. I really like the new Sky album. That's fantastic. God, I've just pulled the fucking rug from under me. The Sun's Journey into the Night album, if you like the raw. But in fact, it's right here, literally right here on Repose Records. You can kind of guess what that's going to sound like.
Yeah. I need to check that out, though. That's an album that I've not listened to properly.
Yeah, it's super distorted and super raw, if you like that sort of thing, but it has a kind of an ethereal, kind of atmospheric quality to it, which I really dig.
Almost like Elysian Blaze?
Yeah. Probably more like distorted than that, to be honest. It's kind of one of those, everything is on 11. But yeah, that's a cool album. I've recently done a bit of work with that guy. Hopefully that'll appear on his next album, actually. We'll see by that. But that's me announcing a guest appearance, by the way. And what else?
World exclusive. It's like I had Alex from Ruins of Everest announce that he's got a new record done, which he's just waiting on Van Records to put it out. Which potentially changes the landscape of the 2020 top 20 considerably, because if Ruins of Everest puts something out, I don't even have to hear the album. I already can assume it'll be on that top 20.
Amazing. I mean, most of it's been this year. It's just been really fucking lo-fi, raw black metal stuff, and it's Lamp of Murmur as well. Lamp of Murmur stuff. They did a split with Revenant Marquee. This is all Death Cult stuff.
Yeah.
Or Repos, actually. Repos Records is the other one. Those again, I'm not sure if it'd be right up your street, really, because I know you're a little bit more into the death side of things than the black metal. Would that be fair to say?
No, definitely more black metal. So when I get to around halfway through the year, I start keeping a list, like a running list of my top 20, so that when I get to the end of the year and I do the top 20, then I will have spent a significant amount of time with those albums, so I know kind of what I can give everything a fair position. So I'll tell you what's on the list currently.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of the year, things will change. But so right now, Aranzi Pazuzu is potentially number one.
Yeah.
Incredible. Utkana, who I had on here as well, definitely on here. I think that next Fornix record of theirs is incredible. Salpst, definitely on there. Omega Infinity, Earthrot, and Oceans. I thought the Tombs EP was phenomenal, and I know from talking to Mike that he's going to put out. They're actually putting out the album this year. It comes out in November, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, cool.
Ulcerate, Stare into Death and Be Still, which wins out just because it's got a fucking great title.
Incredible album. I mean, it's a great
record.
I leveled it up on this one. They really have. Yeah,
no, I agree. Frieda Hammer, Viperus, I thought it was very good. Voldren, I thought was excellent. I think the Aversio Humanitatis album, that's possibly a top 5 contender.
Who's that, sorry? Aversio Humanitatis?
Yeah, they're on Debum Morti. The record is called Behold the Silent Dwellers. So if you've not heard it yet, make sure you check it out. It's fantastic. All these back.
I'm going to watch this back and make some notes.
Yeah. Nexion, very good. Gaia, really, really good.
Gaia is really good. Yeah. Gay area.
I fucked up I fucked up the pronunciation of that band's name so many times, but anyway. Hellfro, very, very cool. And then possible contenders. Decylum. I've heard the one track that they've put out on Bandcamp off the new album, and that sounded superb. I really like the new Odraza. Really like Cult Vinder. I need to spend more time with Afsky, because you're not the first person to say to me that that's one of the albums of the year.
Yeah, I saw with that. I saw. I don't own the record. I just listen to it on YouTube at the moment. I will get the record.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where the comment on it was came for the album cover, stayed for the music, and that's exactly my story. I literally clicked like, what the fuck is that album cover? Oh, it's cool, and then just okay, and it's just constantly like actually delivers. I mean, it's not like it's not a mind-blowingly out this world technical album. It's just really good. But yeah, check it out. Yeah.
So Krallis would be another contender. Their new album is excellent. And then the non-black metal stuff, the new Napalm Death, everything that I've heard so far sounds very good.
That mid-page track was amazing the other day.
Yeah, well, that new track of theirs that's come out, Amoral, I think it's called. It sounds a bit like Killing Joke, but fucking hell, it is fantastic.
It fucking rips. I know the guitarist John, the new guitarist John, pretty well back from back in the day. It's good that I think this is the first one that he's taken up soul guitar duties and is kind of rock for. So it's nice to see see the fruits of that, in the different styles that they're putting out. So yeah.
So has he actively contributed to the writing of the album?
I haven't spoken to him, to be honest, because he's so fucking busy. But I assume so, yeah, because he's the only one. I mean, it'd be him and Shane, I imagine, together. But yeah.
I've said it many times before, but I kind of feel like I can repeat it on every single episode of the show, and I'm desperately trying to get him to come on the show. So I spoke to Katie from Season of Mist, and she's looking to see if he can come on for one of the Death Metal Countdown episodes. But I think Shane is the most underappreciated songwriter, maybe of our entire generation. I think that the sheer volume of great music that guy releases, and not just like the volume, but the consistency of how good it is. Like name one truly shit Napalm Death album since Fear, Emptiness, Despair.
I like Fear, Despair.
I love Fear, Emptiness, Despair as well, and I like Diatribes too. I think all the experimental stuff in the 90s was great. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think even if you don't like them, you still have to say there's songs on there that's good. It's not. They
need it to happen. They're part of not only the band's development, but like Napalm are such an important band for in pushing the boundaries of everything: speed, punk, metal, crust, all that DIY stuff. So it had to come a point where they sort of went, where do we go from here with this thing we've created, this fucking monster? So it's fine. I don't mind. Diatribes is probably my least favorite. But I like Fear, Emptiness, Despair. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, Fear, Emptiness, Despair is a badass. But the thing is, like I said, even Diatribes, like even on their worst, they still bring out. There's still good tracks on that album. But the thing that I admire so much about them, I spoke about it a couple of episodes ago when I was talking about how disappointed I was with a new Anal Nathrak single. Anal Nathrak to me has run out of they've run out of ideas, or they've run out of tricks. I'm curious to hear the rest of the album. I might be completely wrong, but that new single to me, it sounds like it would have been great if I heard it 10 years ago. But now, like where black metal and kind of extreme music in general is going is every single release, the bar gets raised exponentially.
Yes.
And you get to a point where what a band like Anal Nathrak were doing 10 years ago might have been innovative and great, but now there's bands like Aversio Humanitatis, there's bands like Salps, there's bands like Utkana. They've brought out stuff that just almost kind of renders it redundant. But what I admire so much about Napalm Death is that they've managed to keep with that curve no matter what. I mean, they're just about to bring out an album that I've seen some of the reviews. Everyone says it's fantastic, and I'd be very surprised if it's not on my list of favorite albums of the year either. And for a band to be that old, that long in the tooth, and still doing it the way that they're doing it is fucking incredible.
Yeah, still doing it. I mean, did you see a couple of years ago the videos of them at Glastonbury?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, just that alone. They're still up for doing, just putting themselves in people's faces. It's not TFI Friday in 1992. It's fucking 2018 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's fucking brilliant, man. I've got enough time for them. Got plenty of time. I forgot to mention, as you were talking about other albums, I've really got into Rope Sect. So I've been on a bit of an Iron Bonehead kind of flex at the minute. The record label Iron Bonehead.
Yeah.
And I'm really into Rope Sect at the minute. That new album called The Great Flood came out the other day. It's fucking brilliant. It just sounds like Joy Division, but black metal.
Shit. That's something I'll have to check out. That one's has passed me by.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, if you fancy a bit of a palate cleanser, it's you may or may not dig it. You'll either click or it won't within 2 minutes.
Rope Sect.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. I found it on Kobaz.
It's not something you'd expect Iron Bonehead to put out at all. I got into their last album that they put out on there quite a bit, or the EP or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to this full length for a little while now, and it's fucking brilliant. It's got the guy from Grave Pleasures doing guest vocals on it. It's clean singing basically most of the time. So I don't know how much it feels to anyone, but it's just got a really sad, somber, like melancholy to all the melodies to it that I really dig. And it sounds to me like some of early Ghost mixed with Joy Division mixed with black metal. Without the pomp and Ghost. I
was about to say without the antics of Ghost. I have to give them their due. I saw them a couple of years ago opening for Metallica, and when I saw them play live, I left there thinking like I finally get why people like this band so much.
Yeah.
There's something that's very hokey, but that's very appealing about them when they play live.
Yeah. Can we just take a break for 2 secs? Would that be okay?
No, absolutely not. It's fine, mate.
I need to check on my son in the other room. So
all right, I'll be back in 2 seconds. I'm just going to get me another beer as well. So I'll just leave the camera on. I'll be
okay. right?
Perfect timing as well.
Lovely. Yeah, sorry. I'm just with my son by myself today, so just to check he's all right in there.
No worries. For some reason, I had I was under the impression when we spoke the last time that you worked in an office, so I didn't realize that you work at schools.
Yeah.
Do the kids know that you're that you're black metal AV by night and a sweet guy by day?
They don't know. Part of the reason, it's a small part of the reason they keep the faith in is it's just all accountability is from schools. There's a lot of red tape around shit, particularly social media.
Yeah.
Working. So and for the right reasons, But yeah, I just don't fancy explaining to anybody in my workplace who's more senior than me what on earth I mean by lyrics or by why is there a dead body?
Yeah.
I don't fancy having that conversation at all. So no, they don't know that.
Yeah, my daughter the other day said to me, Dad, why is all your music about death? I was like, what are you talking about? All my music isn't about death. What makes you think that? She goes, because all they do is go, ah! That's the best way to explain it to the kids.
Yeah, I did explain to one kid once, and a few years ago, and who's actually all right. He's kind of into like mainstream metal and stuff. His parents were bikers, so they kind of had a bit of a rapport there. And he just kept saying, "Oh, it's just daddy issues. You're screaming because it's daddy issues." That's his like little thing. But he was a wind-up merchant.
It's funny when kids get to that age where they're starting to find their personality, but they're finding it through imitating older kids that they've seen. So they start adopting slang and sayings and lingo and shit they don't really know the meaning of.
Yeah,
so when they use it. It sounds really stupid. There's my girlfriend's nephew the other day. He's a sweet kid. He was getting irritated with his little cousin. And so I hear him yelling at her from the other room. It's like, "You're crazy, bruv! You're crazy!" And she's no bruv.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, what was I talking about? Recommendations, because there's one I really wanted to check out. Oh, the other Iron Bonehead one. So I don't have the record of this yet either. Both of these, the Rope Sect and this one is coming very soon, but I don't even know how you pronounce it. I think it's De Karma Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to look on Iron Bonehead's latest releases, but it's DKH, Karma with an H in it. De Karma Chaos or Chaos, I don't know. Some Belarusian band, two-piece band, but it's something quite different to most other things on the label. Again, it's nothing like Rope Sect. It's a heavy album. It's an obscenely heavy, slightly industrial tinged black metal album with like kind of 9-string or 8-string guitars or something.
Yeah.
Which just blew me away. I was just like, fucking hell. And I think it's a female vocalist too, which is always a nice little, oh yeah, fucking hell. Nice little touch. But yeah, I can't really pronounce the name very well, so presenting it to you as a recommendation here.
Yeah. Oh, well, as soon as you said female vocalist, I was like, weak. No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking.
You need to check it out because
that to me is funny about metal, right? And maybe you'll differ from me on this, but I think if you think about how the metal community accepted and embraced Rob Halford's lifestyle choices, it's weird how they were more willing to be absolutely okay with that than for a fairly lengthy period of time, the metal community as a whole were willing to be okay with a female singer. Like you would think kind of the cause of feminism would have made its way through the ranks first before it progressed to accepting Rob Halford, but it seemed to be exactly the opposite.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that's but when Rob Halford came out, they were already a massive band. So it's like, oh, do we abandon him because of this silly little reason that we don't really give a shit about? Or do we just kind of go, oh, I'm sure that's okay, I don't really care?
Yeah.
I guess that's...
Well, they were all like, well, he made Painkiller. I'm never going to listen to A Touch of Evil and think of it in the same way again. But the album is still fucking great. So.
No, in British Steel, Grinder. That's the one. Looking neat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen to that and tell me, oh, it's a surprise he's gay. All right.
Yeah.
I love the band.
He is. I mean, he's like the goal of power metal, though. I mean, I think he can literally do whatever he wants. No one will ever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's fucking untouchable, man. Like,
yeah.
You see, did you follow his Instagram or his Facebook or anything? He just.
I think I followed him on Instagram.
He gets some cats on it and stuff all the time. He's just like this nerdy fucking old man. It's just hilarious.
Yeah. I really like him though. I think I mean I would I'd be lying if I said I loved every single thing that Judas Priest ever did, but
oh no, it doesn't. But you can't argue with someone who's they've been around for 50 years.
Yeah, and they I mean they still put out relevant music, and I mean he wasn't just somebody who was putting out cool music with Judas Priest. I thought the Fight album was really cool, and I even thought that Industrial project that he did too. I thought that was pretty decent as well.
Yeah, he's not putting his hand to anything that bad. I mean, there's been a few bad Judas Priest albums. I'm not totally versed in all their albums, to be honest with you. But yeah,
as long as you're versed in Painkiller, that's the main.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And then the latest one's fucking amazing as well. That was in my rotation when it came out for like a year. I fucking love that album. Yeah, fucking great. No, untouchable. Absolutely untouchable. There's some serious riffs on that latest album. If you haven't listened to it much, go back. It's fucking first half of it particularly good.
I do actually need to spend a bit more time with that. I know that they, like the guitarist, I think used to own a bunch of golf courses in Shrewsbury, which is near where my daughter was. And for anybody not from the UK that's listening, it's like the deepest, darkest countryside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always thought that was amusing. Like, these sort of country bumpkins, and then we're gonna go play golf at I think it was KK Downing actually. We're gonna go play golf at KK Downing of Judas Priest's golf course.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't. I can hit. I'm hit or miss with Iron Maiden, but I am mostly hit with Judas Priest. I mean,
I'm massively miss with Iron Maiden, and much more hit with Judas Priest.
Coming up to 80, do you know what I mean? Like, how many 80-year-olds or 70? Was he 70? You might not check whatever age he is.
Who, Rob Halford?
Yeah, he's 70 something. I'm sure.
Extravaganza. He must be.
He's 72. I'm going to say something like that.
All right, so your guess is 72.
You're going to check.
I'll tell you now. He's definitely more healthy than everybody from me. He's 69.
Ah, fuck. Okay. Well, look. Either way, how many? He's going to be 70, like, in a few months. How many 70-year-olds do you know?
Oh my God, it's actually his birthday today, 25th of August.
There we go.
Happy birthday, Rob. You haven't come on the show, so, it's a very half-hearted happy birthday, but anyway. Ben Tipton is 72. Yeah. KK Downing is 68. Yeah. KK Downing is about to start his new band as well. Is it called KK's Priest or some stupid shit like that?
Oh yeah, I saw something about it. I don't know what it is. Yeah, he had a in Sheffield. He's got the steel mill, KK Steel.
Yeah, but I mean, at 69 to still be making the stuff that he's making, I think that's very impressive. And like I said, I think health wise, you look at somebody like Ozzy, he can't speak a coherent word. They're a little bit younger, but the Motley Crue gang, I think the drugs have taken their toll on those people's mental capacity, because Nicky was running around a little while ago proclaiming that he's the most underrated bass player of all time. So it's like fucking kids that have literally played bass for 4 weeks could probably learn the entire Motley Crue back catalogue, mate.
They do learn the fucking Motley Crue bass lines. You're a new bass player and you want to learn some hard rock, you learn fucking Girls, Girls, Girls or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. What was I going to say about Priest? Yeah, so Andy Sneap, who's the producer, who's now in Priest. So his studio is a little stone's throw away from where I grew up, in a small town called Belper, near Derby, where I'm from. It's literally a stone's throw. Like, you walk down the field from where I grew up for, I think, about 10 minutes, and he lives in this little kind of country cottage out the way. in a little hamlet.
Yeah.
So at the start of lockdown, I shipped off me and my family to my parents to get some more space because I didn't want to be around stuck in the city. I didn't know what it was going to be like. So we actually walked past and tried to say hello to Andy Sneap at the start of lockdown. We had a little country walk through his courtyard type thing, just kind of like looking past. Like I wonder who's in there at the minute, if anybody, because it's. I grew up in Belper.
Yeah.
And it was always like, oh yeah, there's this big producer that lives nearby, like the little thing of the town, little kind of gossip of the town. And eventually, me and my friends figured out who it was. And then one of my friends saw Dave Mustaine in Morrison's. and you get these like accounts of like, oh, my mum saw this goth guy in Specsavers or like Superdrug or something. And you check it out and be like, oh, Cradle of Filth are recording at the minute. It's like Danny Phelps has been spotted in Summerfield.
Well, there's a couple of these studios that are literally like in these tiny little villages. I know the one that Napalm Death records at is in Wales, but again, like a village in Wales. The one that Paradise Lost record at is like somewhere outside of Milton Keynes.
Yeah. That's all British stuff, And we had lots of that, but it was so funny to get like Slayer and like Slayer and Megadeth basically, just be like it, within the estate that I'm growing up listening to the records from, and then get them from like California or whatever. It's so fucking weird,
dude. Did you hear how utterly horrible? I mean, like I'm pleased that Dave has recovered from cancer and stuff like that. But did you ever hear how excruciatingly shit his vocals were on? I mean, they've always been nonsense, and unless he's got the studio behind him, they're terrible anyway. But like how bad it was on that Big Four recording of "Am I Evil"?
Do you know what? I don't think I've heard that. Is that like a popular YouTube video or something?
Yeah, hang fire. I need to show you this. You might be able to hear some of it. But it's literally, it's so bad. Like you have to hear it because you can't believe that somebody who makes the amount of money that guy makes and is as prolific in metal as what he is could record something that is so or not even record, but could put his name to something so fucking terrible. So hold on, let's see. I'm gonna only be able to play a short amount of the video, because otherwise I'll get pulled. But I mean, you can see poodle face fucking idiot Belladonna from Anthrax. He's just as terrible. But once you've heard him, you think he's bad, and then this happens. That literally sounds like he's straining to take a shit.
Oh, Megadeth.
You can't. People can't fucking poke fun at black and death metal vocals when, like, that's one of the main players in kind of like mainstream metal.
Yeah, there's a lot of the very mainstream legendary bands that have been carried most of the way, by money or
great producers like Andy Sneap.
Exactly, yeah, and tour budgets that exceed the abilities of the person via technical stuff. There's a lot of those. That's Megadave. Sorry, Megadave, that was terrible.
Well, Megadave, did you read his autobiography?
No, not now.
It's like every single chapter is about how he got into an argument with somebody. And he knew that if he engaged the guy in his Aikido or his Jitkindo, whatever fucking nonsense he'd been studying whilst in Japan, that he could kill him. But he harked back to the words of his master and exercised self-control. I mean, I'm not joking. Every fucking every single chapter is about that. It's like, blah, blah, blah. James shouted at me, and I knew that if I used my Aikido moves against him, I would kill him.
Touch a chip on his shoulder. I mean, that's an understatement. It's just his entire persona is his chip on his shoulder, and it has been since he was kicked out of Metallica for boozing too much. It's just been entirely like, this is my thing.
Well, he boozed too much, and he kicked James's dog. Someone kicked my dog, mate. Curb stomp time. That's the rumor that I'd heard. So where is it? I'm sure I read it in like one of those massive like those Metallica fan magazines that came out when Black Album was out. I'll verify that, and if I was wrong, then I'll edit it out. And but I do think I'm correct there. And as I said, if someone kicked my dog, curb stomp time.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. Come on, like it's a family member, isn't it?
Exactly. More of a family member than fucking smelly ass Dave. But I think of when I think of Andy Sneap, not black or death metal. Can you remember Stamping Ground?
Yes.
Yeah. So he produced some of their albums. But if ever there was a live band that could do shit to an audience that I have rarely witnessed in my life. Oh my God, those guys were good.
Yeah, I'm a little bit too young to have seen them live, but only by a couple of years. But,
how old are you?
I know. Sorry?
How old are you?
As old as time itself. I'm 33.
Okay, all right.
I'm a little bit.
Whippersnapper.
10-year-old girl when I'm 33.
Yeah.
So I never saw them, but I got friends who are slightly older than me that saw them in Leeds at the Well, and I think various like gigs in London and things like that. So yeah. I know all about it. They're a fucking great band, man.
Yes,
but I didn't know Andy Sneap was the producer. No.
Yeah, so I think he did. I think he did the album that had Officer Down on. Yeah, and then he had A New Darkness Upon Us, which was kind of the album that was supposed to break them, because that's when Hatebreed and everybody was getting big. So I think everybody kind of expected, well, these guys have great riffs, crazy beat downs and stuff. So maybe they're going to be the sort of UK's breakout hardcore beat down music stars. But it never kind of happened for them, which is a shame, because live they were so incredibly good. I remember seeing a show with theirs once where the Mean Fiddler, which was what was formerly the LA2, had these two big kind of speaker stacks at the front of the stage, and he got up onto the top of one of them, which meant that his head was basically touching the roof, and just dove into the audience. And he was a big guy anyway, like Adam, the vocalist. He was like seriously muscled up. He looked like a fucking badass. And, you just see this like muscled up guy standing there and just coming flying into the audience. It was nuts. It's like, I often talk about that, but I really miss that spontaneity and that craziness that you used to get at shows.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, this is the black metal thing that is a massive part of my personality and everything, which is how I express it. But I grew up on all sorts of things. I spent a long time in the death metal scene and the hardcore scene and all the rest of it as well. So I get it. Those live unpredictable shows, the DIY shows where you fucking 50 people in the basement and the ceiling's falling in and the fucking PA falls over and shit, just
yeah.
But like that's where those are the ones you remember.
Yeah, without a doubt. And those are the ones that you have the most fun at. But I feel like with your music though, you do have, I think there's more dynamics in your music as far as what would go over live.
Yeah.
So if you think about a track like "Convulsing" at Baalbek, for example, which has that really great break, and then it's got the like, clean guitar, and you're like, to begin again. But it sets such a great atmosphere live. And the thing that I've never kind of been able to get my head around when it comes to black metal bands is, why do they insist on playing all of their fast songs live and never any of the slower stuff? Because those slower stuff, you can see the crowd's energy just lifts as soon as they play them.
Yeah. You need to have a bit of ebb and flow, I feel. But I totally agree with you. Lots of most bands in the kind of genre we're talking about do just do their kind of everything on 11 all the time. And yes, sometimes you want to go to. I think that comes from the thrash stuff and the death stuff before it. It's like there is no stop.
Yeah.
But you want to build something that has a bit more wider reaching atmosphere and something that is a bit more encapsulating. You can't for 50 minutes, it needs to have.
It sounds boring as shit. And then the other thing is, if something is off on the sound desk in the what's him in the venue, or there's just something wrong with the acoustics in the venue, you're going to sound like crap. Like Marduk is a great example of that. I love that band, but I've seen them live a couple of times now, and the last few times I've seen them, I've been fucking around on my phone. I've been pretty bored because all they do, in spite of the fact that they've got several great slower songs that they play, they just stick to everything that's just blast from start to finish.
Totally. And Dark Funeral is another one, more so than Marduk, really. I feel, because they're just generally just constant blasts.
Yeah.
So, I fucking love blast beats, and you could, if you listen to my music, it's got plenty of blast beats and stuff.
Yeah.
It's but you need to have the little the something that gives and takes, but pushes and pulls. It kind of does both. If you want anybody to come on board with it, really. So yeah, that's kind of theoretically what you get when you're talking about the hardcore shows, and you got a riffing section, then you got the beat down, and the break before the beat down, where it's like, oh shit, it's about to get real. I know we don't have breakdowns in black metal or whatever, but it's about that.
Yeah.
About the dynamics changing and the kind of being anticipation for the next bit and stuff like that. That's essentially what I mean.
So you don't have breakdowns, but I know what you're driving at. You don't have breakdowns, but listen to Mayhem.
Yeah.
And like when they play Freezing Moon, or they play off the new album, they play Marloom. There's everything is slowed down. People could hear it, and you just, whenever they play it, you just feel the energy from the audience.
Yeah.
It's like with Marduk, whenever they do the Blonde Beast, I mean, the crowd go fucking nuts, and then straight after, blast beats again, and they just kind of lose the crowd. But I think Mayhem are a great example of a band who are able to have mostly very fast songs, but because their songs are dynamic enough where it changes. The rhythm very rarely stays the same. Hellhammer is the kind of drummer that can really pull that sort of thing off. And then you kind of got all the theatrics and stuff on stage as well. Everything just works together well. I wish more black metal bands would take a leaf out of that book, and do that when they played live, because it there's so many bands that are so great, but they just live, they just are so dull.
See, it's a natural thing for me to want to do that, because I get bored easily. I don't want to be in a band that does 5 minutes of blast beats, and then there's a stop for 8 bars while there's a guitar riff, and then it goes blast beats again. It's just I don't, that on its own there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but if your entire set is that formula, it's fucking boring. And I won't name any names, but there's a lot of quite a few UK black metal bands just fall into that straight away and then don't do anything else.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not going to name any names. It's not fair to do that, because some of those people are my friends. But
headlines are going to read,
who
Abduction starts feud with ex black metal band.
Just fucking do something else. Take it somewhere else. Find another avenue to go down. Just to 50 minutes of blast beats is just 50 minutes of blast beats.
Exactly. Exactly. It's been done to death, and it's not in any way exciting. I mean, like I said, from my perspective, I've said this many times, and I've said it to you directly. I'll say it again. I think you guys and Crimson Throne to me are the tip of the spear as far as just amazing heavyweight champions of UK black metal are concerned.
Thank you very much, man.
So, and you're in elite company, because I mean, Crimson Throne I fucking love as well.
Yeah, I know those guys very well. I know Tom and Dan and everyone from that band really well.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of lifting weights, Dan lifts weights fairly avidly, and I've recently noticed on his Instagram that he's back up to 240 kilograms on the deadlifts, which made me feel like a punk. Like I'm gonna have to get my act together.
And is that good? I don't really understand.
Yeah, it's good, mate. It took me a long time just to get up to 250, and the lockdown fucked that, because I lay on my arse all day watching TV. Fat. So
lockdown load right here.
But yeah, he's a hard dude, and he's a great guy as well. Just, every like I said, no doubting in my mind, you guys to me are the benchmark for UK black metal.
I mean, I don't know what to say. That's super kind. Thank you. You should have Dan on. on the
He's
podcast.
been on. He's going to come on again. He's been on. He's going to come on again at some point because he's a big death metal guy as well. So we're going to do one of the death metal countdown episodes together.
Yeah. He's. I'm excited. Has the new Defeated Sanity album come out yet? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah, that's great. I mean, when I was in my death metal, brutal guttural death metal phase about 10 years ago, that was the fucking pinnacle band. Defeated Sanity, Chapters of Repugnance. Fucking hell. If you like that stuff, fucking
I like
that album. Just kicks the shit out of everything.
I need to check that out. I'm not a massive fan of technical death metal. I think one of the things that I've discovered as I've done this list is I really do prefer older stuff. Yeah. It was so much fun to get into, to listen to, Piece of Time by Atheist again, and listen to the second Hypocrisy album, Osculum Obscenum. And I also feel like there's certain bands, and I'll talk more about this when I do those specials, but there's certain bands that just rendered certain subgenres of death metal completely redundant because there was nobody that was ever going to come anywhere close to that ever again. Like Dying Fetus for me, anything deathcore, anything that's like ultra brutal and stomping and groovy, it just can't hold a candle to what Dying Fetus does. So everything just sounds like a poor imitation. And for me, with a lot of technical death metal, I feel like Death and Atheist, between the two of them, they set the standard so high. It's kind of like, why bother?
I really dig the new Blood Incantation album as well. It's fucking all about
it is good.
It's right up ancient civilizations, conspiracy theories, fucking. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I did prefer the previous album, Starspawn. That's fucking incredible. But yeah, that's down that path. But taking it another, I don't know, doing the atheist stuff, doing the death stuff, but I don't know. There's a modern tinge to it, but I think they recorded it all on tape and stuff as well. I think that's quite an interesting thing. I read about that. They recorded it literally all on tape, like the Morris sounds, early stuff would have been, all the early Morbid Angel and all the death would have been straight to tape.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you watch the making of that video that Earache put out, where they did the making of Blessed Are the Sick.
Yes, yeah.
They were like, we can't just redo stuff, because it's not like with a digital track where you can go back by milliseconds and then say, okay, cut that out or loop this or whatever the case may be. If you fuck up, you fucked up. That's that.
Yeah, exactly. Little things like that are inspiration for me, because I've told you before, like I know the album stuff is done in a real studio that's has a bit of a budget and stuff, which is great. But all the other EPs and things are done at home, and I've got like tape players and reel-to-reels and all sorts of shit to fuck about with. And I just can't get anything to sound remotely like all that old stuff. I would love to just anything to do between the Morris sound and like the Norwegian sound of 93, 94.
The Greg Holland sound. Did you see, by the way, speaking of Greg Holland, did you see next year they're doing Beyond the Gates at Greg Holland, and they're going to have Mayhem do the Mysteries, Dom Satanas. They're going to have Emperor do, I think, In the Nightside Eclipse or Wrath of the Tyrant. And they're going to have Enslaved do their first record as well. And I'm not going to bother trying to pronounce it because I know I'll fuck it up. So.
Vikinga Veldi, I think. But
well, their new stuff that I've heard sounds like a fucking load of wank. So I'm going to put that out there as well.
I watched their live stream. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm live streams. I don't know. I can take or leave. I watched the Rotting Christ one. I thought that was cool. I liked yours. I think yours, especially because it was new and it was raw.
Yeah.
I like some of these quarantine jams. Like Tombs did one that I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I need the audience there, and I've seen Enslaved live a couple of times, and Enslaved I've always found I like their music actually a lot, but live they're just not. They don't really particularly excite me. Like I said, I want to see violence when I'm at a show.
I'm the same, and I mean, wanting to see violence is like up here.
Yeah,
but when you do it, like when I did the live stream by myself, I mean, you just want to see something.
Speaking of which, by the way.
So weird, because you finish the song and it's like I'm just stood in my room.
Yeah. but speaking of seeing something,
flicking
I
away.
don't know whether you're a pro wrestling guy. I like AEW very much, as I've mentioned on the show many times. WWE are dead to me. But one thing they've done that's fucking weird is around the ring now, they have what basically looks like a bunch of Zoom videos of fans watching. It's the most fucking bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. Hang on.
You can pay for a seat, like a Zoom seat.
Yeah.
Right?
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can find it. I need to show you a picture because it's the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Same.
And apparently there was KKK imagery shown on one of it.
Oh fucking hell.
Oh, dude. Well, okay. So here's another thing. While I'm looking for this, is there anything that's more 2020 than a remake of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as a drama?
I think I saw that in the news.
Oh my fuck! As soon as I saw the trailer, it's like his mom yelling at him, "You gotta be smarter than this, Will!" And then in the background, you hear the echoing of the Fresh Prince theme song. It's like Jesus Christ! So even this, what's next? Is Married with Children going to become a drama as well?
I haven't seen the trailer. I'm going to check that out. But I when I first saw that announced, I swear it was an Onion or a Daily Mash artist. I was like, oh, fucking hell, that can't be real.
The whole world has become the fucking Onion, mate. So there it is. I don't know whether you can see that picture.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
How fucking stupid does that look, though?
That's so weird. So do they have like the speakers on? Is it like there's a crowd noise from them?
I don't know. I've not watched it. I've just seen the photos.
That sort of makes sense. If there was a need for the wrestlers to have the atmosphere of the crowd, I could sort of justify having the screens.
Yeah.
But if not,
no. As I said, 2020 has been a weird old year, mate. Everybody, every other person's being cancelled. Fresh Prince is being made serious. Zoom and fucking on wrestling shows. It's
I thought Will Smith got cancelled. No, not cancelled. Divorced, I think. Fucking hell.
Well, no, he wasn't. He didn't get divorced. The guy. And I don't know why he would even do. I mean, he always seems like a pretty on the level guy.
Yeah.
Why you would publicly come out and go, yeah, I let my wife have sex with my son's friend to ease her pain.
I didn't realize that was it. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, I have a running thing where I save insane headlines that I find on on social media. I do need to read you some, and it's just like 5 years ago. If you read these headlines to anybody, they would say that comes out of Mad Magazine. They would not say that it's that's in any way serious. So bear with me 10 seconds. Let me just see which ones I can dig up that are fit for public consumption.
Not to keep quoting Rogan, but I did see that he posted a while ago that picture of that it's just two aliens like this.
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck, buddy, we're up next.
let's get out of here. So hold on. I'll find one now. Quite a lot of these are maybe a little controversial, so I'll leave them out.
You be the judge of that. It's your podcast.
So this one I thought was brilliant. Systemic racism is a nightmare for plant and animal diversity too, says major new study.
Okay.
Dear white vegans, stop appropriating our food. Anyway, this one. Scott's mum vows to change law to allow her to use her dead transgender daughter's sperm to have a grandchild.
Jesus Christ. So, real 2020 problems, Jackie.
Dude.
One of them.
But this is the thing. If somebody had told me this was what 2020 was going to be like back when you and I were talking, I would have told them they're fucked in their head. I was like, look, things are rough now, but
about a year.
Can't get that bad.
There'll be lots to talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure. But dude, on that note, I need to split. It was absolutely awesome catching up with you as always. And we definitely shouldn't wait another full year to get it done. Hopefully by the time we speak again, things are better, and we would have met in person as well. I'm sorry that I missed you at that show. The reason for that was I needed to go see my daughter in Shrewsbury.
to explain. That was a fucking cool show, by the way. Though that was the Pipes. Is it that one?
Well, I would have expected if I was there, I would have expected you to at least yell from the audience, "This next song goes out to Satan and Jackie from Into the Necrosphere."
Yeah, had you come, I might have delivered that.
But yeah, man, listen, I wish you all the best, and I hope to speak to you again soon, and I hope to hear some new stuff again soon as well.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me. It's a bit weird doing these things because I want to keep the mystery of the music, but I also quite like talking to you. So
yeah,
it's a weird one, but I appreciate it, man.
Well, dude, I appreciate you doing it. I know you don't do a lot of these, so I expect it to remain that way. Like I'm gonna start boasting exclusive to Into the Necrosphere AV from Abduction.
For the 3 in the queue, so.
All right, cool. Listen, brother, take care of yourself. Speak soon.
thank you once again to AV from Abduction for coming on the show. If you have not yet checked it out, or you don't follow him on social media, he posts updates to a Spotify playlist, I think, once a week. So well worth checking that out. If you're ever short of music to listen to, he shares a bunch of very cool stuff on there. And as you would have seen from the conversation, the dude is unbelievably knowledgeable about music. So yeah, check that out. And as I said at the start of the show, check out Abduction's music. Just an absolutely badass band as far as I'm concerned, and always great catching up with AV. So he will most certainly be getting a repeat invite. Speaking of invites, Panzerfaust have had an invite to the show for some time now, and it does seem like we are finally on track to get that done. I exchanged messages with Brock of Panzerfaust over email a couple of days ago. So today is Monday, the 31st of August, when I'm recording this. The plan is to try and record a conversation with Brock in about a week's time. So looking forward to that. And we will definitely have a lot to talk about, because the Sons of Perdition Chapter 2, Render Unto Eden, the latest Panzerfaust record, is out now on Eisenwald. It is the sequel, surprise, surprise, to the first Sons of Perdition, which came out in 2019. And as all of you know, was pretty high up on my favorites of 2019 list. And I would surmise that Render Unto Eden is going to be pretty high up as well. I think in terms of sound and of direction, it's really in many ways a refinement of what they were doing on Sons of Perdition Chapter 1. So it's a pretty harsh and aggressive blend of black and death metal. I think black metal becomes a little bit more prominent on Chapter 2. And I would say that the album, to me, in some ways sounds a little more meditative. And you'll hear what I mean when you listen to the music. It's chaotic and it's aggressive, but it's not quite as unhinged as the first one. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I feel like on this record as well, they've let loose and probably experimented a little bit more than they've done in the past as well. And particularly on the first track, Promethean Fire, it works very, very well. But frankly speaking, everything on this album works well. The production is killer. Every single performance is top-notch. Big shout-out to the drumming of Alexander Kartashov. It just adds something urgent to Panzerfaust's music. And on the whole, I've read an awful lot of comments and received some direct messages from various people saying that this is going to be on their top 5 of 2020. I would say in all likelihood, I will be joining them as far as that's concerned. It is a home run for Panzerfaust, a home run for Eisenwald, and I cannot recommend it more strongly. This is a track off of the Sons of Perdition Chapter 2, Render Unto Eden. It's called Promethean Fire. Promethean Fire by Panzerfaust off of the fantastic Sons of Perdition Chapter 2, A Render Unto Eden, available right now on Eisenwald Records. I'll post a link to Panzerfaust's Bandcamp in the description of the podcast. And if you head over there and buy yourself some cool shit, let them know that Into the Necrosphere sent you. I saw that the vinyls for, I think their vinyl run in North America and Europe sold out. So kudos to them. I mean, it's obvious that a lot of people have been looking forward to this, and justly deserved, in my opinion. They've been around for 15 years, and I feel like they really just hit their straps now. Yeah, fantastic record, and highly recommended. Speaking of another album that's highly recommended to me by Rick Eaglestone, who was on here a couple of episodes ago, was A Cursed Possession by Cultus Profano. I have to admit, I was not actually familiar with Cultus Profano's music previously. They did put out a record in 2018 called Sacramentum Obscurus. I have not checked that out yet. I will do. But based purely on A Cursed Possession, I'm very impressed. These guys, it's actually a duo out of Los Angeles. They have been around for 4 years, and you're definitely not going to expect music like this to come from liberal Los Angeles. But the sound can best be described as a blend between second wave Norwegian black metal and I would say some of the classic American black metal bands, and they do it unbelievably well. The production and the sound is raw enough to be necro, but not so raw that things get buried under a layer of fuzz. The performances by both members are sensational, and generally speaking, this is a powerful riff heavy album that kind of moves forward via either a very hypnotic, convulsive groove, or a kind of fast, aggressive blast. Again, it's a release by Deborah Morty Productions. They have put nary a foot wrong this year. And on A Cursed Possession, they are most definitely not breaking that streak. So I would highly recommend this. This is the first track off of A Cursed Possession, and it is called Cursed in Sin, Opus 25. was Cursed in Sin, Opus 25 by Cultus Profano of the record Accursed Possession. And like I said, an album that I would definitely suggest you add to your list of things to listen to if it is not already very high up. Available right now on Deborah Morty Productions. And as with Panzerfaust, you can follow the link in the description to the podcast to go and check them out on Bandcamp and show some love and support to two hard-working Los Angeles. Right, time now for some news. And as is becoming customary now, we're starting with Metal Storm. I really ought to shout out Metal Storm properly, considering the fact that I borrow their content so liberally. But do go check out Metal Storm on www.metalstorm.net. In my opinion, hands down the best metal website, and they stick to the news rather than trying to invoke some fucking woke nonsense with every single fucking post that they do. I mentioned obviously Riley Gale at the top of the show. Merle fucking dickhead, editor of Metal Hammer magazine here in the UK, amazingly enough, had to turn his own personal tribute about Riley into a political statement, which to me just says everything. It's like, people that are, on kind of this extreme left progressive side of things, are a little bit like vegans or fucking people that are gluten free. As soon as they walk into the room, immediately everybody has to know about it. But anyway, let's start with some news before I really start ranting. Insidious Disease, After Death Coming, due out in October. Insidious Disease features some of the folks of Dimmu Borgir. Yeah, so Dimmu Borgir, Morgoth, Nile, Suspiria, and Napalm Death members. And they are bringing out their first album in a decade named After Death, out on October 30th via Nuclear Blast, featuring 10 new tracks. I've not actually listened to this yet, but I do recall this, their first record, and I got that, again, back when I was still writing. Looked forward to it an awful lot, but it didn't really do all that much for me. As I've said to you before, particularly as I'm doing this death metal countdown, I'm definitely realizing more and more that for the vast majority, most of the death metal that I enjoy seem to have come out in the very early 90s. There's a couple of exceptions, Dying Fetus being one of them. I think Werewolves is probably the most exciting new death metal project that's come out for a long time, because I like, and some will accuse me here of being a little biased because I'm a big fan of Matt Wilcox, but I will say I like the spontaneity of it and I like the aggression of it. It kind of goes back to some of those old albums to me, not necessarily in terms of sound, but in terms of feel. Anyway, Big Destroyer, new EP released. I've not actually listened to this yet, in part because I was preoccupied with Cultus Profano and with Panzerfaust over the weekend, but I will most certainly listen to this. I personally don't think that Big Destroyer have put out a poor record yet. I love the last album. I've pretty much enjoyed every single thing that they've done. So the Octagonal Stairway is what it's called. It's out on Relapse Records. I will most certainly check it out. A band who, by the way, you would think would be very good live, but I have seen them live once and I was bored to tears. But that being said, on album, they are absolutely sensational. Necrophobic, second single from upcoming record streaming. Necrophobic have been busy lads. I believe that the last Necrophobic album came out about 2 years ago, and that was pretty good, so I'm looking forward to this one. The article here reads, Blackened Death Metal Legends Necrophobic released the second single, The Infernal Depths of Eternity, of their Dawn of the Damned album, which will be released on October 9th, 2020, worldwide. Like I said, one I will definitely check out. I mean, these guys have been long-serving. I remember Necrophobic albums as far back as the first couple of Nuclear Blast catalogs that I got. Looking forward to that. Enslaved premiere, Orutan song and video. This was a better track than the first two that I've heard, but I must admit, as much as I like Enslaved, and as much as Enslaved they've constantly brought out good records, and I probably will stand corrected on Utgard at some point, but what I've heard so far, I'm not a big fan. I think that it's I don't want to say it lacks menace, because Enslaved has never really been about menace. It just sounds weak. It sounds almost like the band are trying to they're kind of trying to broaden their appeal by making their music more accessible and more catchy. And for me, it just doesn't do anything for me. I think that's probably the best way to put it. I could unpack it and analyze this until I'm blue in the face, but it's going to come down to the same thing. It doesn't appeal to me, and that's that. I hope I'm wrong, but thus far, I'm not looking forward to this album at all. And one thing I was very wrong about was the new Mastodon. So that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago the new Mastodon single coming out, and I know it's ironic because I'm wearing a Mastodon t-shirt. Big fan of this band, but that last single was fucking shit. And I've not heard this Rufus Lives single yet, but I have looked at the trailer for Bill and Ted Face the Music. I would rather have a fucking knife rammed into my penis than watch that utter pile of shit. That was the one thing that I'm glad died a death was, the stereotypical metalhead rock fan movie, bullshit like Airheads, Wayne's World, Bill and Ted, where metal folk or rock folk are presented as these long hair, unwashed simpletons. I find it, I wouldn't say I find it offensive. I just find it fucking stupid. Cataclysm launch Underneath the Scars single. Underneath the Scars, a brand new single from Cataclysm has been revealed. I am undoubtedly sure that it's going to be as dull as every single other thing that this band has ever put out. Another one of those bands who are a little bit like Belphegor, who I think are also on Nuclear Blast, if I'm not mistaken. They can make their music as heavy as possible, or as heavy as they think possible. They can play on fucking 12-string guitars, have 5 drummers blasting away at the same time. There's just something that's missing, and I don't know what it is, but they just can't ever seem to get it together to, in my opinion, make an album that is in any way worth my attention. And that goes all the way back to their first records. I remember hearing Sorcery and kind of feeling the same. Everybody at school was like, "Oh, Sorcery is the best thing ever," and I myself did not think so. What else is there to talk about? Primordial Heathen Crusade European Tour announced. I am now really starting to wonder whether or not we're going to see tours, at least in the first half of next year, because there's now talk of another lockdown happening in the UK, and it's a fucking pain in the ass to go anywhere. I'm even if they allow tours to happen, I'm wondering how many people are actually going to go out and see it. I think that it depresses me sometimes when I think about life before March of this year and how much shit we took for granted. But either way. Primordial live, definitely something that I'd want to check out. I think Primordial they've been a bit hit or miss for me music wise, but live they are superb. And Alan is a fantastic frontman. I hear that he has a new podcast out as well, which makes him my competitor. Speaking of which, if you recognize that quote, you'll know the movie that it's from. There Will Be Blood. In about 5 hours' time, I'm going to record an episode of. I think he's going to put it out on Necromantics. So Necromantics being Mike Hill's podcast about movies. We're recording a There Will Be Blood episode, and I'm really excited about that because as all of you know, because I've said it so many times on the show. There Will Be Blood is one of the best movie of all time, in my opinion, and by no small margin. I actually rewatched it again last night. And it's one of those movies that just gets better and better every time I see it. I think it's fucking incredible. So I'm excited. Anytime I get to talk about it, I'm excited and I'm happy. Panzerfaust, entire upcoming full-length streaming. We spoke about that. Power Trip, we spoke about that. It says that Riley was aged 35, but I think the band, when they posted something about it, they put on his date of birth as 1986 to 2020. So irrespective, it doesn't matter. It's fucking shit news. As I said, the world is a poorer place for Riley's absence. I'm very surprised, by the way, that more people weren't sniveling about Greg Gutfeld paying tribute to him. I thought it was a very sincere and a very a very heartfelt tribute. And I think kudos to him, especially for fucking talking about that on Fox News. Venomous Concept, Streaming Politics versus the Erection in Full. If you haven't checked it out yet, do make sure that you listen to my interview with Kevin Sharp of Venomous Concept. It was a great conversation, and Kevin is a super cool dude. I am trying my level best to get Shane Embry on the show for one of my death metal countdown episodes, because I'm quite keen to have somebody from a member of the band on for certainly the top 30. That would give away that Napalm Death is very, very high up on my list. Katie from Season of Mist is trying to get that sorted out for me, so hopefully she gets that done. But like I said, in the meantime, make sure that you check out Venomous Concept's new record, and make sure you check out that Kevin Sharp interview, because I thought it was a really, really fun conversation. Cradle of Filth, upcoming album recordings completed. Yay. Now, as much as Napalm Death is a great band and Venomous Concept are a great band, Cradle of Filth is the biggest load of fucking nonsense ever. And I do think, without a doubt, Danny Filth is one of the biggest geeks and one of the most overrated frontmen on the face of the earth. And let alone the fact that he's about 5'4", his vocals fucking suck. His moves on stage are dreadful. I saw Cradle of Filth once, and I think possibly to their detriment, not even possibly, definitely to their detriment. That was also the first time that I saw Akrakoka. Akrakoka absolutely fucking destroyed, and then you had this nonsense where Cradle of Filth came on stage. They had the platforms and they had all the stuff, but then the one thing that they had, which I thought was incredibly lame, was screens on either side of the stage, where they had like a screenshot or a picture of the album that whatever song they were playing at the time had been taken off of. So it almost felt like a fucking pseudo black metal infomercial. But yeah, total fucking wank. Killswitch engages Jesse Leach. If ever there was a time for a revolution, that time is now. I'm starting to feel like I'm living in an alternate reality, because firstly, the riots and the looting and all the fucking bullshit that's going with it, that is destroying communities to a point where, if you look historically at rioting, so in Detroit as an example, when they had their massive riots a couple of decades ago, Detroit essentially remained an economically depressed area after those riots, and still is. Most places that have experienced civil unrest to the extent that places like Kenosha, Portland, etc. are experiencing right now will never, ever recover. Never. And so when people actively go out encouraging this fucking nonsense, when it doesn't, it's aside from the fact that they may have to pay slightly higher taxes to bail out those fucking places, it never directly affects them, I find to be completely and utterly reprehensible. And when people actually speak out in defense of looting and destroying shops and destroying businesses and destroying what people have worked their whole lives to build up, I think, I'm going to say this emphatically, and if somebody doesn't like this, then so be it, but I think you are a fucking cunt. Exodus is in pre-production for a long-awaited new album. I'm looking forward to that. I like the last Exodus album, even though I was a bit of a fan of Rob Dukes, more so than I was of Zetro. That being said, I saw Zetro live. This was probably about 2 years ago, and the bill was fucking awesome. It was Prong, Exodus, and Obituary. Exodus was probably the band I was looking forward to least, and I was fucking blown away. I thought it was excellent. Gene Simmons praises Elon Musk's brain-computer tech Neuralink after live pig demo. I actually haven't watched the demo yet, but I can tell you right now, you can go fuck yourself if you think you're going to plant some fucking computer bullshit in my brain. That's not happening. Watch Down reunite with Kirk Weinstein for the quarter-century Throwdown live-streamed event. Not something I watched, but I love me some Kirk, I love me some Down, and I like me some Phil Anselmo. So I may well check that out. I always love how they describe these things, though. The high-production multi-camera event took place using cutting-edge live streaming technology. You mean the same streaming technology that's been used on television for years. Kirk Hammett has over 600 ideas for Metallica's next studio album. I sincerely hope it sounds a lot better than hardwired to self-fucking nonsense. What a massively overrated pile of hot garbage that album was. Jack Osborne blasts UK tabloid over photos of nearly unrecognizable Ozzy. I actually think Jack Osborne had a point here. I mean, the Daily Mail, which is a fucking bullshit-ass rag, decided to post a picture of Ozzy sitting in the car and made a big deal about the fact that he hadn't recently colored his hair. Why that is in any way newsworthy, I have no fucking idea. And then they really kind of stir it up by going on about how he's nearly unrecognizable. Again, who gives a fuck? There is so many more important things going on in the world than fucking the color of Ozzy Osbourne's hair, and yet the Daily Fail decides that they need to drum up that nonsense. Ex-Lamb of God drummer Chris Adler has been spending less time than ever with his instrument while in quarantine. No surprise there, because it's not like Firstborn's drumming actually requires the level of talent that this guy clearly has. Man, Chris Adler, what a great drummer, but the guy's made some strange decisions as far as his career is concerned. And again, I said I'm not going to talk about the new Lamb of God all that much. We're certainly not going to review it, but it is a great record. If you haven't listened to it yet, if you want to hear just a good, straight-ahead, riff-heavy modern metal record, I don't think there's going to be anything that's better than that in that particular genre this year. In Flames releases music video for re-recorded version of Only for the Weak from Clayman 20th Anniversary Edition. Right there, they named the strapline for their music. In Flames, we're only for the weak and only for the false. James Hetfield has written tons of material for Metallica's next album while in quarantine. See my comment about Kirk. Tom Araya and Kerry King will never be Slayer again. That's not a bad thing. I don't think Slayer made anything consistently decent after Divine Intervention. I like Tom very much. Kerry, for me, is overrated and without... Like, the best Slayer stuff that came out over the course of the last 4 or 5 records was stuff that Tom and Jeff had written, and then like the odd burst of creativity that Kerry got. But if he's going to do, I mean, I know this new project of his has got Paul Bostaph apparently, and supposedly Phil Anselmo is going to be doing vocals. But if it's going to be the same old fucking nonsense that he always writes, which is chug, 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 2-3 notes, chug, 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 I hate Jesus, chug, 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 God has ruined my life, chug, 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 chug. Fuck that. Boring nonsense. I don't want to hear it. What else? Ascension of the Watchers featuring Fear Factory singer Burton C. Bell, Ghost Heart music video. I'll check this out. I quite like the last Ascension of the Watchers record. Thank God for studio trickery, though, because Burton Bell's voice, any time that he does not have the benefit of an extraordinary amount of production, is actually atrocious. And we'll say this too, that 99 bottles of beer on the wall, I take back what I said about that being funny, and I'll check it out. I listened to it. It's fucking terrible. And not only is it terrible, it's stupid, and Burton Bell's performance on there was one of the worst. It was just completely and utterly fucking contrived and dumb. It could have been a really cool idea if they did it the way that, there's these guys that do these videos on YouTube where it'll be like, I don't know, one song sung in 30 different styles, and you'll have like death metal, or sung in the style of Chris Barnes and then Pete Steele, and then they kind of do something different every single time. If they did it like that, and they had every single person do it in like their own distinct style, it would have been interesting. But with the exception of Phil Anselmo right at the end, which actually does sound pretty cool, everything else sounds phoned in fucking bull mash. Ishan covers Aha's Manhattan Skylight with help of leprous Einar Solberg. I bet that's the most black metal song that he's recorded since 9 Equilibrium, because Prometheus I also don't like. I've already said my piece on Bill and Ted Face the Music. Again, I'd rather have my kneecaps dislodged with a fucking claw hammer than then listen to that, or then watch that. Metallica's Kirk Hammett, Junior Dad from Lulu album is a real accomplishment, just as much as Ride the Lightning is. It is, actually. I didn't think it was humanly possible for a band of Metallica's stature to attach their name to something so completely and utterly abysmal. And I think, guys, on that note, I am probably going to finish up my news for the day, and I'm going to call it a day. So thank you very, very much for checking out the episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, this finds you well. I said it on the interview with Kevin Sharp, and I think the Riley Gale conversation outlined it once again. And I know I'm very guilty of airing some fairly strong opinions on this show, and maybe sometimes when I air those opinions, it may seem like I'm not interested in hearing everybody's views out the way that I ought to. But I truly believe that in this day and age, if you took social media and you took the mainstream media out of the equation, people actually sat down one-to-one, had conversations with each other, real conversations about what they think on various topics, I think a lot of people would realize that they have an awful lot more in common than they don't. And I think if they did that, I think it would diffuse a lot of the divisiveness and a lot of the tension. Because right now, I think, I really fear that we've gotten to a point, or certainly that our American friends have gotten to a point where there are two sides. Actually, three sides. There's the far right, the far left, and the center. The center are the largest, but they kind of are trapped between these two sides. And I've seen this happen myself in, having grown up in South Africa. And I think that those two extreme sides' view of reality has diverged to such a point that there's increasingly little chance of finding or meeting in the middle in any way, shape, or form. And that's fucking terrifying. Because the consequences of that, if it's allowed to go on unchecked, is going to be, absolutely catastrophic, not only for America, but for, many other countries in the world. So I hope that, if you're listening to this, you really take to heart what I said. I think that most of you guys would anyway, because like I said, I think I'm very fortunate with who actually checks out the show. At the risk of sounding preachy, I think always remember we have a lot more in common with each other than we don't. We just need to see past all of the fucking racket and the bullshit and the identitarianism and all the other nonsense to realize that. So on that note, from the mean streets of Surbiton on the outskirts of London, I am wishing all you bad motherfuckers a fond farewell.